Hi everybody, and welcome to NorCal Slot Car Scene. Today we're going to talk about the NSR zero grading tire compound. NSR announced this a while back, and it is hitting the market now. And if you go to the NSR website, you can see the specific features of this particular tire compound. A couple of weeks ago, I did a preview video on the zero grading tire compound before it actually hit the market. And now I actually have some of these and I've mounted them, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. First of all, the tire that I have is the 5271Z zero grading tire compound. And that size is 18 millimeters by 10.5 millimeters. There are other sizes available on the NSR website, but I haven't seen those sizes available for purchase yet. So I bought this size because I think it'll work for my application. To try these tires out, I'm using my normal combination of the NSR 5018 wheel. And let's talk for a second about the wheel itself. The 5018 is virtually the same as the 5016, except for the size of the ribs, which actually form the air pocket or the air channel. You can see here that the actual diameter of the wheel portion itself is exactly the same. The rib that forms the air channel is what's different about these wheels. As you can see from the picture, the rib on the 5018 is shorter than the rib on the 5016. And that's what the difference is. That shorter rib seems to give the tire more compliance. Here's the tires mounted and ready for truing. I do use foam inserts in all of my tires. You can kind of see that through the lightning holes in the wheels. Now it's time to true the tires. And these are 18 millimeter by 10.5 millimeter width. And I typically true my tires down to about 18.2 to 18.3 for my applications. So I was a little worried, but after I mounted the tires, the mounted size on the 5018 wheel was actually 18.7 millimeters. So that was just about right for my application, and I trued them down to 18.2 millimeters. So now we're ready for testing. How did these tires perform? The tires performed very well. I used them last week at Fast Track Hobbies on my GT3 car, and the performance kind of speaks for itself. I was able to set the fast lap time as well as top qualifiers for the event. A few minor issues, primarily driver induced, kept me from being higher in the finishing order, but the car performed extremely well. And in testing the day before, it actually ran a 7.32 lap, which is the fastest lap I've ever run on that track. So what are my final thoughts on the zero grading compound from NSR? For me, the size is perfect. I like to true my tires down to 18.2, and the mounted size of 18.7 made it very easy to true. I found them a little bit easier to true than G25s, but G25s are probably the hardest tire there is to true in my opinion. I did use a little bit of alcohol on them to cool them as I was truing them, but they trued pretty easily, and because of the size, I didn't have to true them very much at all. I found the grip to be medium to high and kind of on par with NSR Super Grips. So they're right in the middle in terms of the grip level of the tires that I typically use. These tires are designed for plastic tracks where they run them in Europe as a slip-on tire with no truing. So if you're doing that for home racing on plastic tracks, you can just slip these tires on and they're ready to go. This is a good all-around tire and could easily be a spec tire for some clubs. And back to comparing them to other tires. I think they fit right in the middle of the tires that I'm currently using, from the BRM 30s, which have the least amount of grip, to the slotted G25s, which have the most amount of grip. Another thing I do is I do color code my tires, and you can see the color code here. The BRMs, because B stands for blue, sort of, is the blue dot. The slotted G25s are white dots, and you can see the others as well. So when I put them in the box and take them to the track, it's very easy to see the color coding and see what tire that I have. As far as availability, I mentioned that this particular tire, the 5271 size, is available now from most of your local retailers. One thing to keep in mind, when you do a search for these tires, make sure you type in zero graining. And even if you do, when I typed in zero graining, sometimes it comes up with zero grip, which is a front tire, which is absolutely worthless as a rear tire. So just make sure when you put these in your shopping cart that you've got zero graining and not zero grip. So that's a quick look and a track test of the zero graining tire from NSR. I'm going to be trying these on some other tracks as well, and I'll report back in the future. Thanks for watching. This is Jim Rose with NorCal Slot Car Scene.